In the last video, we discussed what is going wrong with our fetch post action creator. So now that we've got a better idea of what's happening here, we're going to start to discuss how we're going to fix this problem. Now, first, a quick little piece of terminology. Up to this point in this course, we have been writing what we refer to as synchronous action creators. A synchronous or sync action creator is one that when we call it, it immediately returns an action object with all the relevant data attached to that object, and it's ready to be processed by our reducers. We are now starting to venture into the world of asynchronous action creators. A asynchronous or async action creator is one that is going to require a little bit of time before it is ready to eventually dispatch an action. By definition, anytime that you have an action creator that makes a network request, it is always going to qualify as an async action creator. If you want to have asynchronous action creators inside of a Redux application, you have to install something called a middleware that is going to allow you to deal with these asynchronous action creators. And if you recall, one of the error messages that we saw inside of our application made reference to something called middlewares. And it said if you want to deal with async action creators, you have to use a middleware. So that begs the question, what is a middleware? Well, as you recall, a little bit ago, we installed a dependency called Redux Thunk. This is a middleware that's going to help us deal with this asynchronous action creator. Now, before we just run off and start making use of Redux Thunk, I want to make sure that you have a good idea of exactly what a middleware is. So for the rest of this video, we're going to have a quick little aside, and we're going to discuss exactly what a middleware is inside of the world of Redux. All right, so first off, same diagram we've looked at before with one tiny little change on it. So we still are going to be calling action creators. That's going to return an action that's going to be dispatched. But now when we dispatch an action, rather than sending it directly off to all of our reducers, we're going to say that an action is going to be sent through all of the different middlewares inside of our application. Inside of a single Redux app, we can have as many or as few middlewares as we want. For the most part, in the projects you and I are going to be working on, we are going to have at most 1 or 2 middlewares hooked up to our Redux store. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about middlewares in detail. All right, so first off, a middleware is a plain JavaScript function that is going to be called with every single action that you dispatch. Inside of that function, a middleware has the opportunity to stop an action from being dispatched, so prevent it from going to any of your reducers. A middleware can modify an action, or it can otherwise just kind of mess around with an action in any way, shape, or form you can imagine. A very simple example would be to create a middleware that simply console logs every action that you dispatch. So anytime you dispatch an action, you might have a middleware that is going to simply console log it so you can see that, oh, hey, an action just got dispatched. There are a tremendous number of open source middlewares that you can install as dependencies into your project. Now, you are not limited to only making use of open source middlewares or installing them as dependencies. We can very easily write our own custom middlewares and use them inside of our own Redux store. One of the most popular uses of middleware is for dealing with these asynchronous action creators. In fact, probably the most popular middleware out of all of the ones that exist in the world is Redux Thunk. And like we said, Redux Thunk is about helping you deal with asynchronous action creators. There are many other types of many other types of middleware, but again, many of them are going to be focused around helping you deal with these async action creators. Okay, so that's just a little bit on middlewares in Redux. Now let's take a quick pause. When we come back to the next section, we're going to start talking about exactly what Redux Thunk does. So quick break, and I'll see you in just a minute.